Cool. Okay, so audio was off that whole time. That's the kind of day I'm having, everybody. I'm just going to apologize for that. I am Jerry from the PVL. I'm going to give you the shortest version possible. We've been dealing with a lot of drama, but we are about to start the first match, which is Heavenly Knights versus Trash Time. And BrownBag, if you notice, is with us. How's it going, BrownBag?
Hey, it's great to be here.
He is. That's cool. Roll with it. BrownBag, if you're not familiar, you should really like take a step back and hop on YouTube for a long time. BrownBag is the guy that pretty much led everyone in the NA into Arena of Valor for a period of time. So you should definitely check out his YouTube videos. He does more than one game, but he spent a lot of time and effort building up Arena of Valor on YouTube and within the community. So number one, thank you, and number two, where are you at with Arena of Valor right now?
You know, yeah, thank you. Actually, yeah, I really appreciate that. It was I put a lot of effort into all of that just because I really love the game, and being able to play part of one of the first ever pro teams, I was like, oh, I gotta bring this back to NA. Like, I want NA to be a strong region, and I want everyone to know like what's going on since we're so far behind in patches and whatnot. I was like, we could start off really strong, and I felt like that really happened. So I'm really excited for the game in that regard. As far as Valor and stuff goes, I mean, I still love Valor. It is my favorite go-to mobile game, and I'm always playing it. But more recently, I've been switching over to the Nintendo Switch, since the Nintendo Switch is really close to those old patches that I made a lot of the videos on.
Yeah.
It feels really nostalgic to me. So it's been a lot of fun. Like, the good graphics are nice, and being back on an old patch has been really fun.
Yeah, and the graphics, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but the character models, if you ignore everything else, the character models on, I mean, Chognar's my guy, but like all the characters look amazing. And there's a Chognar band just to shatter my dreams.
Feels bad, man.
But so with it being based on an old patch, like how far does it go back?
It actually, so the patch is even before. It's like a patch or two right before we all went to Korea to play professionally for Liquid. So it's actually even older. It's pretty much the EU starting patch. So when the game came out in beta in EU, that's really what the patch is. And they talked about the reason they've done this is it's not going to match the mobile version 100%. The Switch version is going to, and so as such, they're going to patch it slightly different. Like, for the most part, it's going to get everything that the mobile version will have eventually, but as balance changes and stuff like that goes, there's things that obviously may need to be changed or modified on a console version that a phone wouldn't need or doesn't use. So that's why they chose to start it that far back. It's crazy. Like the Murad isn't even on there, but we do have Toro, so that's more than I can say for NA.
Yeah, I feel like just from the random chatter about Toro, I don't even know that whether or not he's a good character. I hear some people say that he is, but then you hear
he's really bad. He is really bad. He's not
Yeah.
a go-to character at all.
So, but we're not really missing anything.
No. It's just funny that we don't have him.
He's got a following. I mean, give the guy some credit.
Free Toro.
Who are you playing right now on the Switch?
Oh, Violet.
Yeah.
Violet is absolute. She's got her cooldown on her one and all the items. So it's extremely busted. If you're on the Switch or you want heroes to play on the Switch, honestly what you could do is go check out all my videos, because right they're too old for the mobile version to be relevant, but they're newer than the Switch version, so they're pretty much all spot on for that. And so things like Violet, Zephy's, those are going to be your like two go-to junglers. And then Malik is extremely strong on the Switch version. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it seems like that would just be mind blowing to all the people that are playing now that have been like I jumped in. I want to say it was the day after Christmas, and I pretty much sat on YouTube for like 3 days staring at you. And I'm like, oh, this guy, yeah, okay, I'm gonna watch everything he's done 15 times, and that was pretty much my whole prep for the game. Or I played most of the time while I was watching it, but I mean, it really kind of set the standard, and that's why I assumed that everybody else did this. But I mean, it really set a standard for the entire NA server, and I mean, you're probably jaded about it now, but I mean, it was a huge thing for us. So to get you involved in some whatever level with the PVL, I mean that's a big deal for me, and I know for a lot of the guys that play. Well, so the idea of the whole league originally was to create a community, since you literally can't communicate with guilds at all in the game, and it kind of turned into, over the course of about a 3-week period, we need this, we need this, we need this, and so that's kind of where the whole league, the whole tournament, where everything came from. Things that I think Tencent should add to the game that they're just not going to. Well, I think over time we will just continue to get better, but for now it's just a matter of just getting there and enjoying the ride. Which, I mean, obviously we have Valor Series and all that for the top tier guys, but I feel like this fills a huge gap between that and ranked, and creating an opportunity for those people to learn about tournaments and how they work and preparation. I mean, I think it's going to be ideally, I would like it to be a positive impact, or have a positive impact.
Well, I definitely think it will, just because people don't understand. Like, I always try to explain this to people on stream, but people don't understand the difference between competitive and just playing on ladder until they do it themselves. And like, I can say it over and over again that comp is just a completely different beast, and so far above any one thing. Like, being a good micro level player doesn't mean that you on a team is going to be good whatsoever. The whole team really has to have a goal and communicate effectively and have their own macro gameplay objective wise that they're going to branch out and then communicate effectively to actually act on that, do that, and obviously recover from that situation. And yeah, like you said, it's just such a huge jump. Like, you could take a bunch of Masters players and then like just completely get destroyed by people who have never been seen Masters on ranked, just because they're a better team. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand until they experience it for themselves firsthand.
All right, well, we have managed to chat through the entire draft process. So we've got Trash Time versus Heavenly Knights. Just starting out, everybody's just doing their thing, moving toward the jungle. Looks like we got a little bit of an invade with the Trash Time Aram.
Yeah, and they have a huge numbers advantage on this 4-on-2 here. I think they are going to be able to turn this into a successful invade.
Do you see anything as far as the team build that is going to play into the favor of one team or another?
I like the Aram Alice combo. I think that in comp is really good. They had to give up Groot, aka Yabeth, for it, but in my opinion, that's a stronger like team balance. And now that they got that invade, you know, that's starting to put them ahead. So that's just something I would be looking out for if I was the enemy team.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first week that we've allowed Groot in the matches. I mean, he may as well just be called Groot. I don't even know why they named him something else. But but I'm pretty excited to see him in tournament play because, well, we got to pause, because in ranked matches he is incredible. Specifically with people that understand his function. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think if you in a team presence, right, that's just tenfold. All that happens is that happens 10 times over, and so he's definitely dangerous. Like, he's the character to watch out for in this tournament this week.
Have you seen any specific comps with him that have been successful?
I think people are still sort of figuring it out. I think it's more of, it wouldn't really be like someone that you build your comp around. It's more of just an addition to your comp. I haven't seen anything where I was like, wow, it really takes advantage of him, at least yet. Maybe we'll find that out today, but not so far. He just seems to be good on his own, right? You have him on your team, and that's going to be a usefulness for your team.
I've been just personally, and I've had very mixed success with him, but it's all team related. I mean, I play a lot of support characters and a lot of tank characters, and to me, he plays more into a support role than he does even as a tank, even though he is such a tanky character. And the success I've seen with him has specifically been related to just chilling out in the river and trying to prevent people from moving and invading your jungle, just basically creating a line there. I've seen a huge amount of success just in ranked with that. I mean, he essentially is a wall that protects your jungle and harasses people.
And I think that really comes from his toolkit, right? So as far as tank support characters like that go, he's got a toolkit that allows for a lot of outplay potential, and he's one of those heroes that obviously he's just good, but the better you are as a player, the more you can really take advantage of how good he is.
I mean, we got a little bit of action going down. I feel like poor Alice is just not gonna make it.
Yeah, no, Alice was definitely caught out there, and unfortunately Firefly wouldn't be able to rotate as he doesn't have his ult yet.
And
that means free Abyssal Dragon for Red Team. I like that Senju over here is looking for the steal, but comes in just a little bit too late.
Should be able to get out. Close. Up top, looks like Arduin's just watching Aram, so we're gonna leave that alone. Slims is moving up, and he's gonna end up letting it go anyway to the Mina.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure that was just a little miscommunication issue there, because they definitely should have picked up that Spirit Sentinel, but Red Team is gonna snipe that, and that's gonna help put their team back.
So red is definitely up on gold, but that's an easily overcome gap. I feel like this Groot that's moving down may or may not know. Yeah, he sees the Alice. He got crushed pretty low, so I don't know that they're going to be able to do much. And he has the ability to escape, so that's good too. I'm really big up on the Groot thing right now, so I'll try to back off and talk about somebody else.
No, I think he is the one to watch this match, so I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think that was kind of weird for Firefly to pop his ult so early. You know, a Crest with an Alice isn't really going to be able to do much against double tank. I think the thing to watch is Dark King. Dark King here in this game has really, as a roam, has really not only provided vision, but he's stolen things off the map, and he's kind of just been a real nuisance to blue team.
Yeah, and that's gonna those little key points where you can just harass and poke and get people to get off their game. Those are the moments where your team really succeeds.
Yeah, Mina just had a beautiful ult there.
Ooh, yeah, there goes Slims. Crush should, no, he's not gonna make it either.
Ooh, Crush gets shut down right before his ult, and that's going to mean another Abyssal Dragon for Red Team. This is looking really good in their favor. They picked up first Abyssal Dragon, first Sentinel, and now they're going to get another Abyssal Dragon, not to mention 3 kills on top of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's going to be huge. The gold gap is really, really separating right now. We've got a big patch of Trash Time guys moving up toward mid. We've got jungle getting covered. So they're spreading out. All but the Aram. Poor Aram up top.
Yeah, we are approaching the 6-minute mark, so this Violet is going to start being able to be much more useful for her team, do a lot more damage. She kind of was forced to farm, but now look, you're going to see she's going to be making plays, looking for invade, and that's going to be really devastating for Trash.
That's a good start with the stealing of that Sage buff. Yeah, it looks like Violet's just gonna take everything she comes in contact with, including poor Alice.
Yeah, and she's able to just really abuse that range, knowing that her team is doing such a good job of keeping her out of the fray.
Aram really could have jumped in with that ult earlier. I don't know that it would have made a huge difference, but the timing on that was just not what it needed to be.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Trash is right now they're definitely letting this Violet go uncontested. She's picking up kill after kill after kill, and you definitely don't want the enemy team's ADC to be fed. And they just haven't been able to shut her down. They haven't been able to focus her.
Yeah, Crush, without many options, throws his ult out. The backup by Alice is not going to help too terribly much.
Yeah, if they really wanted to take advantage of the Crest Alice combo, Trash needed to get ahead. Those are heroes where Alice not too much, but Crest relies heavily on farm, and the fact that he's so far behind is going to make him pretty much useless even with that ult at this point in the game.
Yeah, they really need to try to play a little more passively and just grind out some farm, because team fights, they just don't have a chance right now. The level of difference is huge.
And that's because Trash, they really have been picking, it's really like a timing thing, right? So every time Trash goes in, they don't have the stuff they need. They go in right after Crush ults, you know, they go in right after Alice ults, and their heroes don't have the abilities to follow up, right? It's not like the Crush is ulting and the Alice is following up, Violet goes down, and then they go in. It's more like they had to use it to save the tower of escape, and now you're going in without your abilities, and that's something that you just can't do in a competitive setting.
Yeah, I feel like...
A blue team tower has been
well, I will
destroyed.
say, Trash Time formed out of, is it Obelisk or Obelisk, whatever, esports. They were the AOV team for that group, and they've done a really good job of building up from that. But I think HK has been around a little longer and has more experience. And yeah, this
HK
is
dominant in these team fights. They're able to focus down exactly who they need to kill and do it relatively quickly. At this point, Trash would definitely just need to hug face and farm as good as they can, but it seems like a little too late.
Yeah, that 10,000 gold gap is just gonna eat them up. They don't really stand a chance at this point. They should, with the gold they have and the damage, and they should just be able to clear the core, and that be the end of it. And that's what's gonna happen. But that being said, last week they had a fairly rough match in their first run, and then the second match they came back strong. So I'm not sure that their game plan isn't to burn that first match and just get an idea of what's going on, because I mean they came hard in the second match last week.
Yeah, which is totally fine if Trash is a team that really relies on themselves to get ahead, and when they're down, they just don't like to play that way. A good strategy is, okay, well, let's fill out how does everyone play, who do they focus, what are they going down, really pay attention to your team that you're playing against, and then, yeah, throw that match as quickly as possible. Don't give up too much of your own strategy, and then come in second game really strong and hope to, steamroll it through the third game.
Yeah. Well, so I have, obviously, I'll quit nerding out and talking about the stuff from earlier, but you've done a little bit of coaching for some teams as well. My guild, ATF, you've worked with one of our teams quite a bit. They're our team that participates in the PVL, and I think you've done a pretty fantastic job with that. Is that something you're going to pursue, or is that just a one-shot sort of thing?
I think personally, I probably won't, unless right now, what it comes down to, like at the end of the day, what it comes down to is just money, being able to eat.
Yeah.
And yeah, where I live, it's really expensive, and that's something that it takes a lot of time and effort, and I just don't think Valor is at the point where, we have big enough stuff where people could hire like a coach outside of, a tier 1 org. Maybe if the game was a little bit bigger in the States, I have no doubt that eventually it'll get there. Just as of now, I don't think it's a thing. I was working with Wolf and them on some of the ATF guys. They reached out to me and they were like, hey, we want to get better. Can you help us in your free time? And of course I was like, yo, yeah, if you want to get better, I'll tell you whatever I know. And I think they honestly did a fantastic job of really applying the things, because when you start as a new team, there's just so much wrong, and they took it really well, because I'm not one to sugarcoat it. Like when things are wrong, I'm just like, oh, here's a 4-page list of all the stuff you guys do really bad that you need to fix. And I think they instead of having like a chip on their shoulder or whatever, they took that really well and they fixed a lot of things really fast. And I think they just put in the work and the time, and Wolf is really good at managing that team, and that's why they do so well. So I think most of that's on them. A lot of people just need someone who understands the macro to look over the shoulder and be like, it's not about this or this, it's can you guys group up and target this at this time and that at that time, and when they get that, they really excel.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean they definitely appreciate it. And I don't know if you're aware, I don't know how often you talk to Wolf now, but they're splitting off into a second team based on tutelage from you. Do you realize what you've done? But it's just been pretty awesome for those guys. And I will say they put in a lot of time. I mean, they practice hard. They put in some good hours.
Yeah, no, they definitely do, and I think that's at the end of the day, that's what makes the difference, because it's it's one of those things where you got to practice a lot, and you have to practice exactly like you play, because if you don't, things that you just mess around in practice, they show up in high pressure situations, right? Like when you're in a tournament, it's pretty stressful, and especially when you're losing, things aren't always the best, and to be able to come back from that and win and come from behind, even in a game like if you're down 5k gold early game and to be able to turn that around and come back, like that takes some mental fortitude, and that's something you only get by practicing over and over and really being close with your teammates.
All right.
Blue team's turn.
We got it rolling again. Let's look at some of these bands. Let's see if we just go straight meta bands, or let's see if they pick some options from that last match to slow HK down. There's one.
Red team's
And Aram's almost an obvious choice. I mean, she's so incredibly strong against most anyone that isn't a marksman. And even marksman, I mean, all she's got to do is get close.
Well, the thing about Aram too is that she's better when she fights more people, and that's something that is like she's the only hero that you can, like, maybe one other, but like she's the main hero that you can say that for, like, oh yeah, when I'm fighting 3 people, I'm stronger than when I'm fighting 1, and that's inherently such a strong trait to have. Someone who can just eat up that much damage, especially when you have a good ADC dishing out your own team's damage, that just becomes such an annoyance and such a monster.
Blue team's turn to ban.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing of using her is, especially like early game, you get the one-on-one in Dark Slayer lane, and you run up against, like for instance last night it happened 3 games in a row. I had a Kilgroth, a Wonder Woman, and an Arthur or something, and they kept engaging with me specifically when minions were there, and you can't stop me at that point. Like, why in God's name would you do this? And he did it every time, and it was just kill after kill after kill. So I get to level 5 and I've already got 5 kills, and all I did was stay in my lane and kill minions.
Yeah, it's insane when a hero just ends up becoming autopilot like that, right? Like that's just inside, like, okay, well, you know this hero is too strong. I actually love, so these bans, we have 3 ADC bans. I think it's so funny just to see Valheim being banned all the time. Feels so good, because that's something that, you know, a lot of people make fun of, right? The Valheim Yorn picks, but in Korea, they actually like really love Valheim. Like that's one of their like go-to marksmen, even before he was good, and that's because they were really good at abusing his passive, knowing where everything's at, and being able to just move extremely fast. And I think when you do that, he becomes a strong hero. And so now that he's, you know, balanced in such a way that he actually is a strong hero, you add that to that, and you've kind of got like a scary monster on a hero that everyone makes fun of, which is pretty cool.
And he is a lot of fun, even if you think he's a crap character, which he's definitely not.
Yeah, not anymore for sure.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to play. All right, so it looks like the Yibneth is definitely going to play in this match as well. We've got a lot of, just from the picks I see so far, there's a lot of tankiness going on the HK side. What's a good way for Trash Time to respond to that?
Yeah, so you would think that, oh, they got a bunch of tanks, let's pull out a bunch of damage, but you kind of actually want to match, for the most part, what your enemy's playing, just with the better picks. Right now, to me, it seems pretty even. Like, obviously the Groot is the OP hero on HK. It's kind of weird that they've let that go twice, but maybe Trash Time is like, well, as long as they don't have the Mina, you know, we can actually do something for that. And the fact that, you know, HK picked up Max, that seems kind of like a weird pick on their part. So I don't know, this could be something that Trash Time takes advantage of the Max pick and abuses it, because if you don't, Max is really easy to feed on if you're not going to get value out of that ult, and he's not particularly strong or anything right now. On top of that,
yeah, he was the first character that I saw that I was just full on ready to play, and then he was not the character that I thought he was, and it really bummed me. he's cool, but I didn't particularly like the way I play did not work well with him.
Yeah, I think most people don't realize that he doesn't play like he's not like this true, tanky, beefy guy, but then he also doesn't dish out the damage that he needs. He really wants to fight like a sustained fight, but he doesn't quite have what he needs for it. So really what it comes down to is you have to abuse the ult, and you have to be using the ult all the time. And, it's got such a long cooldown, and it's not great in every situation. And so, when it works, it works.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't, it definitely hurts.
The Wukong, he's been getting a lot of love recently with that Cybercore skin.
Yeah, everyone playing heroes for the skins. They're like, we don't even care about team comps anymore. Let's just this skin's lit. I'm gonna play this one today.
Yeah, that's what ranked matches are like at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Trash pulling out Wukong and Batman and Ahri, and the fact that they all have Punish. I'm a little concerned here. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I would have loved to see a Disrupt Batman. That's something that is super old school, and I always want to see it come back, but we haven't got to see that yet. But we got triple jungle by Trash. Maybe they just plan on dominating the entire map so hard that HK can't do anything. I don't know, but that seems like the go-to strategy right now.
10 seconds remaining.
I like the forward thinking, but my fear is that those guys are just going to end up beating on a tree and frustrated. And I did notice it's in announcements that are coming in a couple of weeks that there's a new Flash skin coming that looks fantastic.
I think that they do a great job with all their cosmetics. The cosmetics are really fun as far as skin goes for Valor. The new heroes coming out have been really cool too, just as like not even just like being good and stuff, but just interesting, like having interesting abilities and having a little bit higher skill caps. The Amelie and Groot releases, obviously, and there's obviously a bunch of new heroes coming that look crazy OP and have some crazy stuff, and I think that is that's really cool, and so I'm kind of excited to see how these goes. But yeah, this game is gonna be definitely different. I honestly I can't tell you just based on these comps what's gonna go down, but we'll find out firsthand.
Welcome to Arena. Get ready.
Yeah, I'm curious.
5 seconds.
Curious to see if the Mina on Trash Time is able to cover the way that the Mina last game on HK was able to do.
Yeah, HK was really good at abusing that Mina, not only for vision, but the ults were so good. Dark King had some amazing ults. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do on the Lumber, if he's gonna have the same sort of effect on the game that he had on the Mina.
Yeah, we got a really hard push for the Might buff.
It took a long time to really go in for that invade, but they do have the numbers advantage 4-on-3 right now. We are getting a really good rotation by HK. They might be able to trap them here.
Oh yeah. There's Dark King just moving in, making it happen.
Yeah, he's really good at playing those supports and landing the abilities when they count. I think it was important too to give the first blood to the Groot. Getting that hero farmed, it just makes him a real threat to deal with, because as soon as he has ult, it's extremely hard to kill.
Yeah, let's see. What is he's building Mantle. I've really kind of been bouncing back and forth on him whether to go straight for the support item or if I should just roll tank and just let it go.
I kind of like seeing the Groot have a little bit more damage. I feel like he inherently gets really tanky. Like no matter what you build on him, his tank skilling is really good, and so I think you can actually get away with letting yourself have a little bit more damage, and it ends up being nice in the team fights. But that's like I said, that's only something that you can do if you're going to be farmed too. A lot of the builds I like require you to have a little bit more, if not a lot more farm than the enemy team, and it kind of keeps you in check with what you're doing.
Oh yeah, HK is really getting in on there. They got the dragon. They're getting kills. That was not good.
Beautiful stun by the Slims on that Mina.
We got Max moving in on that Batman. Just smokes him.
I think that this definitely did not go the way Trash was planning on the early game, and that really kind of threw them off their game. Like you said, they're a team that likes to come in strong, and so just from what I've seen them play and based on what you said, I think they're probably a team that's going to have trouble coming back, and the fact that they're already down 4 kills and 1k gold is probably going to be really hard for Trash mentally.
Yeah, I think here recently with the rise of the Genar, and I always seem to be on the other team from that. I always find myself a few towers down before my team really gets it together, and I just mean like randoms. So
yeah, and I think it's interesting because there's some teams that are really good under pressure, and then there's some teams who they have to be ahead, and when they're not ahead, they just make poor decisions. Last game, we saw Trash make poor decisions when they're behind. This game, obviously, if they want to stay in, they need to make much better ones. But that really, you know, goes to not wasting time, not really wasting your rotations, and not getting caught. And we're just seeing them get caught, especially without abilities here.
Yeah, and they're able to get a little deeper than anyone would like in their own jungle. The other team, I mean, they're just getting stomped on in their own jungle. We got Wukong.
Good job at taking advantage of their lead, right? They know they're ahead. They know the enemy team can't fight. Once they have vision where they know they have more numbers than the enemy team, then there's no reason not to be in the jungle, taking everything they can, baiting out the fights, because they know they're going to win them. And I think they're doing a great job at baiting out those fights and choosing the times. They haven't really missed much waves for all the stuff they're stealing for their opponents, which is really good.
Yeah, I think the fact that they do have so much dedication to jungle, like Batman, I mean, yeah, that was not good. You got a setup here, but it looks like Groot's going to push him back.
If they wanted to pull off, you know, this really wonky team comp with a lot of junglers, I think it was really important for them to win that first invade, pick up some kills there, and then take everything, right?
Yeah.
Really give your team a little bit of a lead, and because they didn't get that, they're just seeing, you know, the difference in level, power, and rotation that the enemy team has.
Oh yeah, and that Kali's really, between the Kali and the Groot, they're not getting a lot of rest. I mean, they're gonna have to, like you said, they're gonna have to ramp it up and take every single mob on the screen if they want to get back in. And they can do it. They have the damage. They have control abilities. I mean, they could do it.
Yeah, it's just something that takes a lot of mental fortitude, right? It's something that takes a lot of communication with your team, and you definitely don't want to be getting caught out with lack of vision. The good thing about Batman is he should be able to provide more vision for them, right, without really getting caught using his ult, but we haven't really seen him do that. He's been going for ganks, and he just doesn't have the damage right now.
Flash, maybe.
A red team tower has been destroyed. Ultimate revenge.
See, now
a really good tower dive by HK. They're able to not only put down the tower but pick up those kills. Really good focus there.
Yeah, and they're getting those buffs too. I mean, they're really covering. Like, even when they group up, they're still making sure that as soon as whatever that situation is, they spread back out and gather as much gold and experience as they can.
Yeah, and Trash just has the same problem they had last game, where they're not focusing the squishies, they're not focusing on the ADC, right? Slims is super fed. He's got buff. If you're getting jumped by a lot of people, you want to put down the weakest characters first. You want to put down the characters that don't have health. And we're seeing too much damage from Trash go into tanks, right? Too much is getting baited by that group, by that lumber, and they can't really get to the heroes they need to get to.
Well, they do have an opportunity here. They're all together. If they can take Yevneth out, they can kind of pick these guys off one at a time. But well, now Max is in, so that should be a problem. Yeah, Groot's hit points are just crazy high, and it allows him survivability that can just buy his team time.
Yeah, he's so good at buying time for the rotations, and that's why giving him that first blood and everything is so important. You just start putting him ahead. His ult makes him unkillable. They had so many people there, and they couldn't put him down before the Max could rotate, before the lumber could get there. And this is just looking like a really solid match for HK.
A red team tower has been destroyed.
And they're gonna get the easy abyssal right at 8:30, which means it'll be back up at that 10-minute mark, and they'll have the buff to contend for.
It's looking really good for HK. They're just picking up everything that they need off the map, right? Having 3 Abyssal Dragons is a really strong indicator of victory, and that's, you know, really kind of just putting them ahead at this point. I like that. I like the Batman going for the invade, knowing where everyone's at. That's good, but that's something that needed to happen, you know, 3 minutes ago to get him ahead. Not when they're behind, because what ends up happening is your team is going to get caught with number disadvantage, and that's what we're seeing.
Are they going to go ahead and... Yeah, they're going to go ahead and jump in on the Slayer.
I think it's a good time to take it. I think that it's kind of dangerous when Flash is there, but I almost feel like this is just a bait for them to
Yeah, Batman doesn't jump in as he had. Unfortunately, Max is able to get to him anyway. Wukong trying to kind of pushes him off, but kind of leaves Mina out there stranded. And she goes down. Irie gets away. Flash, everybody's running. And that Kali throws her ult and is able to get a kill as well. 2 kills.
Double kill.
Yep, really well played there by HK. Trash wasn't really able to put down the slims, and so he was able to not only get stuns off, but get his health back, and that is gonna be GG.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a pretty strong match for HK overall. They were pretty much in control from start to finish on both matches.
Yep, HK coming out extremely dominant, and now will be. I also think that's just an indicator of don't give your opponent Groot.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep, they had him both games, and it wasn't like we didn't see him being used, right? You know, it wasn't like he was useless both times. He had some really good plays where he just sustained, and their team's able to come over and finish off everyone they need to.
All right, so we are at the 7:56 mark. We typically what we do is we have a match at 7 o'clock, and we set aside an hour and a half per best of 3 to give teams time if the matches drag out, and we have had quite a few of those. But in the interim, what we do or what we have been doing is kind of interviewing people and things of that nature. We've pretty much done that the entire time you've been on. So are there any things that you, based on what you've seen and what you've experienced, are there any things that you think that we as a league can do for the betterment of the community? I've pretty much came up with this idea at 3 a.m. one night and just picked at it until it kind of grew. And I met some other guild leaders that were interested in, creating positive change, and that's where it all came from. But I feel like someone with your experience may have a suggestion, or, viewers, if you have any thoughts, I would love to have your thoughts. So Bags, what do you think as a league, as a community hub, what do you think should be one of a main focus of this league?
I think, well, the thing with any league is the key to a league being successful is that it just has to be consistent and happen all the time. And, whatever it takes to get that done, I think that's most important. So as long as, you guys keep doing it, keep having it, that, in my opinion, is what's most important. Saying to that, you guys are in an interesting spot because what you're trying to do is give people an outlet that is a little bit more than ranked, and help bring together teams and support teams that's a little bit more than ranked, but maybe not quite as crazy as some of like the really big teams right now. And I think that's a cool spot. So for me, what I would do is focusing on finding those teams. The easiest way that you guys are going to find teams is obviously by keep running the league, but even if you don't want to do that, what you can do is, in my opinion, is just to reach out to anyone that has teams and try to get as many teams as you can into the tournament. I think getting teams into the tournament is the most important thing. And maybe even a good way, a good way to do that always is just to offer whatever prizes you can offer anyone, even if they're small or whatever. And I think that definitely brings people, no matter what. They're like, oh, cool, we get something at the end for winning. I think that's really important. But I don't know. I think you guys are doing a really good job so far. The main thing would be to just keep doing it, right? That's the hardest thing, is to always keep it running. And yeah, that's what I would focus on, and just making sure it's always running.
Yeah, that has been one of the more challenging things that I did not expect.
It's funny because it's like the simplest thing that you would, like, as advice-wise, or you'd think of, but it's also the absolute hardest thing to do, is to keep it running consistent, smoothly, and no matter what happens, it goes on. I think people don't realize that.
Well, we're gonna the league didn't start as a giant 12-week monster that it is currently, but initially we ran some weekend tournaments, did a couple of things just to build it up. We are going to kind of go back to that, and there have been some talks about some charity type things that we may run actually very soon. Not charity as in we want to get a guild 250 members, but charity as in good things for actual people. So I'm hoping that we can use those events as a way to bring awareness to, obviously, the charity that is involved, but also to the game and the fact that esports is a little bit more than I think people in North America give it credit. Just to try to just create awareness in general.
I think that's pretty cool. I think it's also, I think no matter how you do a league, whether it's like a 12-week crazy thing that requires a lot of commitment, or it's a 2-weekend thing, as long as it's always going on, that's as long as there's always something for someone to look forward to, right? Like, oh yeah, I have PVL every second Sunday, and it's always on. Like that is what gets people excited, and it kind of builds up the brand of the league, regardless of how it's run.
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to create content is worth people tuning in to watch?
I think at this point, I think Valor is at that point where just having any leagues would be worth teams, to watch and participate in. But yeah, obviously you want to get as many teams in as you possibly can, and the better teams you can get in, the better.
Where are you at on Valor Series? Have you been keeping an eye on that?
I actually have not been following Valor Series since it moved to Facebook.
Yeah.
I would have kept an eye on it. Probably just because I have a lot of friends, that are good, and are a lot of people that I really like, and I want to support them and watch them and stuff. But I've honestly just had to focus on myself more recently, and things that I need to work on. Is really the main reason. Otherwise I would have. Obviously, the Facebook thing, it also turns me off too, just because it makes it harder.
Yeah.
For me to keep track of all that. But yeah, just because I've had other stuff that I've personally had to focus on, I haven't really been able to keep up with it. Although people do come in and kind of, fill me in on tidbits and stuff with what they're doing, which is always cool and appreciated.
On a side note, and I may have mentioned this during my muted audio period in the first 2 minutes of the stream, but a kind of a news update for the league. Psychotics of Deadly Alliance is unfortunately not going to be able to participate in the rest of the tournament. Their guild has had quite a few issues over the last couple of weeks. It's nothing against them. It's nothing against their commitment to said league. It's more of there's just a lot of stuff going on, and they need to focus on that right now. So we're going to wish Psychotics the best moving forward, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing them in Season 2 of the PVL. But they have stepped back and have been replaced by Vanguard Esports. They are involved in more than one game. They were not till recently involved with AOV, and a team that has been involved in the PVL, just not in this tournament, has taken up that banner, and they're actually playing right now on One Range channel. So if you are or are not familiar with them, you definitely should check that out. In the meantime, coming up here in a bit at 8:30, we've got Non-Toxic Esports versus Iron Gladiators, and the later game for One Rain tonight is going to be Team Ferox versus the Outlaws. Let's see what everybody's saying in chat. Thank you. Thank you for participating, watching, and you be honest, you really don't want me to stream. You guys wanted chat. You wanted Drew, and I understand. But I'm just trying to keep the flow going. Or maybe you guys could give me an opinion while we're waiting on that match. I have every character in the game but Illumia. Can anybody give me a reason to buy Illumia? Bags? Anybody in chat? Somebody give me a reason that I should buy that final character.
I feel like it's your obligation to buy that final character just to have every character. And if I went onto my profile and it said 70 out of 71 every day, I think that would hurt me internally.
Yeah.
Especially since, how much is Illumia?
18,888.
Oh, she's actually expensive? Gross.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. And I have all of her skins. I just don't have her. I'm never going to play her.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen to you, though? You're going to be in ranked. You're going to be like, hey, give me Groot. And they're going to be like, give me Illumia. And it'll be like, damn.
No, but see, that would be a win for me, because I really don't want to play with Illumia. I don't want to use her. I definitely don't want to use her, but I really don't want somebody on my team to be a Lumia.
To also we have her.
There's so many other characters that are better. I mean,
yeah, but like, she's got a global ult, man.
She does. What are her other abilities?
Actually, okay, so her biggest, I don't know, her biggest, her biggest benefit is that you can steal things with the ult. To be honest, is like if you have good vision on like the enemy team, like if your team is good, if you had a really good team, I feel like Illumia would actually be good if you had a good team. It's really hard to pull that off because she has no mobility. All her stuff sucks. She doesn't really do damage, but what she can do is at least stun people down in a team fight if she isn't killed instantly. But two, she can steal the Abyssal Dragon, she can steal the Dark Slayer, she can steal your opponent's, you know, red and blue buff right from the enemy. Right? You just have to have good vision and good communication. I feel like the biggest problem is that nobody, you know, those two things are also the hardest thing to have as a team.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say second hardest. The hardest thing would be communication, and then yeah, execution would be second. So.
Yeah, I just can't do it. I think I'm just gonna build up my gold for a while. Didn't you? Somebody told me that they were watching your stream and you went on the Switch, and because you had so many characters or something on mobile, it gave you a lot more gold. Is that a real thing? Yeah.
So if you get 10,000 gold on the Switch for every hero that you have on mobile. So I bought all the heroes on mobile because I was going to play predominantly on the Switch when it came out, because I had played the betas and stuff. And so I got 710,000 gold on the Switch, which is actually, not only was that enough to buy every single hero on the Switch.
Wow.
But it was much more than that. So now I just have a bunch of gold because it's not used for Arcana on the Switch.
Oh.
It's only used for heroes. So I just have a bunch of gold on the Switch that I don't even know what to do with. So I'm just gonna buy every hero as it comes out.
How do you acquire Arcana then?
Yeah, it's even harder than it is. So you thought Arcana couldn't get any worse than 20,000 gold on the phone, but you were wrong, because it's every tier 3 Arcana is 400 gems on the Switch. So it's 12,000 gems for a full tier 3 Arcana page, which is pretty much impossible to do without spending a lot of money to get gems from the lucky draw.
Yeah, boo to that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But on the bright side, that also means nobody has, so it's not like you have to worry about it.
Yeah, but I'm that guy. Like, it deeply affects me that I don't have all the heroes. Let's be real for a second.
That's me too.
God, Illumia. What's up, Killa?
Hey, thanks for having me, by the way.
Oh, no problem, man. Killa is one of the members of HK from the previous match.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which one?
I was the first game I was playing Ignis. We actually decided to take a gamble on the Ignis to combo synergy actually with that. So I know there was probably some questions with that pick.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to judge you, even though I have opinions about Ignis. I've seen Ignis played really well, so I don't even judge him anymore. I just let it go.
Oh yeah, it's like, I mean, they definitely. I'm not. My personal opinion, though, the other team, and I forget the name of the other team, and I apologize to anybody in the stream that was rooting for them. I am terrible with names.
It's trash time.
Okay, yeah, trash time. I was like, they were definitely a good team, but you know, it's like everybody on HK, you know, we went in with the mindset we were just gonna have fun and actually, you know, do our best and hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, you guys had a much better presence across the map and group. I mean, group's a group.
To be honest, we had a particular. I'm not going to point fingers. We had a particular someone on the team that wanted to play him like die hard. Then he was gentleman banned last week in the PVL. So.
Yeah. Well, did you see anything from an opponent standpoint that you saw that Trash Time could take from those losses? Like any specific things that you felt were things that you could kind of prey on and build from as the opponents, or things that they maybe could focus on in the future to kind of build them up? Do you have any suggestions?
Most definitely. So this is what I'm gonna say to Trash Time. You guys are great players. You know what I would take from this, you know, is definitely work on your overall team synergy. Because the first game there was the team synergy. We saw that. It just we outplayed you guys, and I mean no bad ill or anything like that. But what caught me by surprise was the second your guys' pick the second time, and it just baffled me. It was like I sat down last night and watched your guys' Trash. I watched Trash Time's previous games in the PVL, and I'm like, what happened? Did somebody have a brain aneurysm? No offense, but but definitely. I would definitely say that they should work on, you know, an overall team objective. You know, what they want to accomplish with the team when they go into a match, into a game.
Yeah. Well, this is something that I've noticed from I'm not a caster, but from a casting standpoint, from a viewer standpoint, and from a league commissioner standpoint. The thing that I see from NA as probably our weakest point overall, I mean, obviously Allegiance maybe not a part of this, but most teams in the NA do not know how to draft. You see it in Diamond and above, you see it in general tournaments. People do not know how to draft teams and effectively weaken the other team by choosing certain heroes at a certain time, by choosing certain heroes to combat other heroes. I don't really know why.
I can concur with that. I can concur with that from a player standpoint. Because, you know, us in HK, it took weeks and weeks of practice, you know, draft picking to actually get down, you know, it's like, if you look at, you know, our consistent, like Chugnar. Chugnar was a priority ban for us, because if they had been able to pick up the Chugnar, they would have probably been able to shut down everything that we were doing.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the things that happens, and this goes for every team in the PVL or any teams in the future, you know, that want to join in the PVL, you know, keep in mind, you know, each hero's, you know, strengths and weaknesses, and, you know, figure out what's going to be the biggest threat when you go into a draft.
Right.
But also keep in mind too, you know, the basic team structure, you know, an ADC, whether it's a lane ADC or a jungle ADC, since those are both viable strategies now.
Right.
You know, both are viable. You know, you still need a tank. You know, keep the basic stuff in mind. But it's also too, at the same time, is always, when you're in that situation, it's very easy to forget that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you see from that standpoint, Rain? Like, do you think drafting is one of the spots that really weakens the NA? Or I think I just called you One Rain. I'm messaging. I'm doing too much. Bags. Let me try that again. Do you think that drafting is a weak spot for the NA as a whole?
I think that teams don't really think about overall draft. They really think about individual draft. Like, I want to play these heroes, or these are my priority picks because this is what I'm good at, and then this is obviously what's strong. I think what that is it's not necessarily that everyone's just really bad at draft. It's more like people's hero pools are just kind of small for what they're good at or what they're playing right now, and then so they don't have a big enough hero pool for them as a team to have a strategy to always go in and know, we're gonna play this, and this, because that's something that band draft is something that is actually much harder than people realize. It's one of those things that you kind of, as a team, you have to have sort of an intuition about it. Like, we want these picks and we're okay with letting them have these picks, and so then the band draft will go however that happens. And if they're going to give us all our picks and we don't even have to ban their picks, then it's whatever. Whereas most people at NA, they probably just aren't on that level yet. They're just like, well, I want to make sure I get this hero. Our team wants to make sure we get this hero, versus trying to counter pick or outpick their opponent. So that's why you guys see a lot of like weird band drafts, or what you guys think are bad band drafts. It's not this. It's mostly because it's unthought of. I think it's an afterthought in most teams, unless you have like a coach that's paying attention to both teams and saying, okay, these are their good picks, we're going to get rid of those. These are our good picks, we're going to make sure we're going to get these. And unless someone on your team is doing that, it's just not going to ever happen.
Yeah.
And I can agree with you, Brownbag, there. And it's all going to come down to the same concept of how you even get better at the game: practice. The only way a team's going to get better at drafting is through practice.
Yeah,
HK,
unless they have a coach that's analyzing both teams, dude, like you said, to build that intuition for band draft is practice for sure. Now, if you're on, and that's right. We're this league is about bringing in lower to mid tier teams and making them better, right? That's the whole point, right? So
right.
A lot of these teams, I would not expect their band draft to be these crazy good band drafts, because these are teams that are first and foremost, trying to become better as teams. I would expect their band draft to get better week after week, intuition wise, and hopefully, eventually just start making sense.
Oh, definitely. And I actually have to say, from a player standpoint, from week 1, and we're in week 5, correct?
Right.
So from a player standpoint, from each of the teams, because HK, we regularly scrim all the other teams on the PVL, so we can get that draft practice that we so desperately want. From a player standpoint, have noticed, improvement with the teams and everything. I was like, take HK for example. We week 1, if you watch us at week 1 versus the games we just had not too long ago, you can see a big difference in team development. And I'm seeing that across the board through all the teams, and it's actually amazing, actually.
Yeah, I think everyone has grown. Even week to week, it's interesting to see these teams as they grow and build and learn both about each other and how each other plays, and how to react to some of the teams that are involved. Because some of these teams, while not, the number 1 team, some of these guys are strong. Kranas is a good team. VVV is a good team. Zelf Nation. All these teams are involved in things like Valor Series, and they are competing and doing well here as well. Also, but we can, as other teams, I say we, not me, but all the other teams can see how they play, can play against them and learn from that, and just it's only going to build those teams up more. It's only going to build the competitive nature of our server. So I mean, I'm stoked, man. I feel like by the end of this, the more we play as teams in ranked, as teams competitively against each other, I think Valor Series, the next Valor Series, will have potential to make a much stronger showing.
Oh, most definitely. And I'm going to be a little bit sad. I mean, because to anybody that's actually watched over the last few weeks, seen me play and everything else, you know, if you were rooting for me, great. If you were saying get the hell off the field, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But you know, I've decided to actually take my talents elsewhere with the team. You know, I'm actually going to be stepping down at the end of the PVL and focusing more on coaching and team management at the end of the PVL. So I'm actually, you know, excited to, you know, actually look at the, you know, all these teams at a different standpoint than you know, okay, what do I need to do to beat this guy, and look at it from the standpoint as like, okay, how have they improved? Okay, what do we need to do to improve ourselves to be able to outdo this?
Well, I'm getting everything situated for the match coming up, so I apologize if I'm sort of out of it for a second.
Well, Jerry, you have a lot on your plate, and I'm gonna, you know, on stream say it's like, thank you for everything you're doing for the PVL. You know, it's like, you take time out of your busy schedule to organize this, make sure it runs smoothly, so all these teams, you know, can actually, you know, have good opponents to go against to improve themselves, and basically, you know, improve the community as a whole. So thank you.
Oh no, I mean, I'm specifically doing it so I have something to watch on TV. it's totally.
Oh, so now the truth comes out.
It's a selfish thing. But no, man, I've been like this with every game I've ever played. It's just who I am as a person. But I really dig this game, and I really want it to grow. So I'm doing my best to try to. I mean, if no one steps up and tries to build within things like this, it's never going to be where it should be. I feel like it's the responsibility of everyone to do that. So here I am.
Although I personally, I'd like to touch on a subject that you brought up right before I, you know, joined in. You know, about Illumia. I actually do happen to play Illumia, and I'm actually quite good with her. Reason to get her is actually her abilities are on very low cooldown, and they do a lot of crowd control in the early, mid, and late game. And then plus the fact that everybody on the enemy team has to constantly be aware, you know, that you can ult at any time, identify where they're at, and then, you know, if they're still in that area, they're taking a huge chunk of damage and they're stunned.
I'm not feeling it, man. I'm sorry.
You know, I have personal mages that I don't like playing. I personally, I know Natalia is good, but I don't like playing her. It's like it literally feels like I'm trying to put on a glove that doesn't fit right.
Well, but
that's a little bit too big.
But see, for Natalia, and this is a good point to be aware of. Natalia was the glove that everybody wanted, but they didn't know was in the store. And then they buffed her like 14 times when she was already incredibly good. And now she's so good that I'm convinced Tencent's going to ruin it for everybody. It's mainly me.
Oh.
Mainly me and my ranking is they're going to ruin it.
Well, I'm just hoping that they don't nerf my main. You know, it's like they finally brought her back to a point where she's viable in competitive play, and that would be Kali. No, Kali. Kali is my main, actually.
Really?
Ignis. Yes, Kali is my main, actually. I started playing Kali because I first found out about this game through a buddy of mine that lives in Europe, and he told me about this game, and I got onto the EU server and instantly fell in love with Arena of Valor. And so I was like literally counting down the days for the NA release. And as soon as it came out on the NA and I unlocked Kali, I started playing with her, and her abilities were different back then, and her builds were very different because I don't know if you were playing when the NA server first started, but Kali's second used to give you a percentage of AP increase versus a flat amount that it does now. So, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And as I was learning more and more about Arena of Valor, the items and everything else, I stumbled upon a nifty little item called Zweihander. And I already knew Kali's passive, so I just basically built her more like a mage marksman, and it's been very effective. It works, and it has continued to work. Doesn't mean I don't go into other builds, but I just like what Kali has as a hero.
Yeah. All right, there seems to be a little bit of confusion on NTG's part. So
Everything all right on that side?
yeah,
Or is it just like
no.
minor confusion?
Well, I mean, for all the people that are familiar, there was a scheduling conflict that was adjusted, and there appears to still be a scheduling conflict. So that may be, I don't want to say it. Let's see.